Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, Kara ASMR. Today's video was suggested / requested by an amazing viewer here on YouTube. Their username is 𝐬𝐿𝐼𝐻. I want to say that your name is Alexandra, and I don't know why. My mind just says that. Anyways, I'll leave the comment here on the screen. But it was to do an R.L. Stine show and tell, because I have quite a few R.L. Stine books. Now I have my stack here beside me. I don't own all of them, not even close, but I thought it would be fun to show you the ones that I do have, maybe read a couple of the packs of them, and just tell you about them. I have this fan that my mom got me, and I can't have air conditioner, and so she knew that when I filmed, so she bought me one of these little fans. It's floral and it says Hallelujah. I also have one that says Slay. She thought Hallelujah, she immediately thought Shangela, so it was really sweet. But it's nice when I can't, you know, breathe. So, the books I'll be showcasing you today for R.L. Stine are his Goosebumps, his original Goosebumps. And I also have a couple that aren't in the Goosebumps, and I'll show you those at the end. But these are the original Goosebumps from his first publishing days. I don't know how many there are. I want to say 62. I have a list here on my phone. So 62, yeah. And I'll just, you know, briefly tell you what order they go in so I don't forget anything. I'm actually going to set this over here on my stand. So, the first book, and it's the first one in his series. I actually own 3 copies of this. I don't know why. And it is Welcome to Dead House. It Will Just Kill You. So if y'all remember, back in the 90s, these books were coming out. This is one of the original covers from the 90s. So I remember this not being a particular favorite of mine. I thought it was kind of spooky as a kid, but it wasn't like grab me and pull me in. I grew up on Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger. Come on, try a little harder, Mr. Stine. But for a first book, it was really great. It says, "Look alive. Amanda and Josh think the old house they have just moved into is weird, spooky, possibly haunted. And the town of Dark Falls is pretty strange too, but their parents don't believe them. You'll get used to it, they say. Go out and make some new friends." So Amanda and Josh too. But these new friends are not exactly what their parents had in mind, because they want to be friends forever. I remember it being, you know, a mix between a zombie book and a ghost book. It was kind of just everything. There's the concept of vampires, but it was okay. And I own 3 copies of this. Another one of the originals, which I think is reprinted for the show. No, it's an original. But I own this one, and then I own a reboot from the mid-2000s when they did a updated coloring, which I honestly don't care for. I like the old 90s horror look to it. But I do like that they kept the little tagline, "It will just kill you." I did like that. Yeah, so Welcome to Dead House. So the next book is the second one, and it is Stay Out of the Basement. This was a book that I actually didn't care for at all as a kid. I read all his books, by the way, all his early Goosebumps, but I didn't really care for this one. I wasn't into the whole plant eating idea. I just didn't like it. I didn't like the episode in the TV show either. which, by the way, is being rebooted very soon. So, you can see these are very old. They're water damaged. This one very much so. It looks like it was in a basement. And a lot of them I got from this woman at a yard sale. And I was looking through her stuff, and she saw me looking through the books, and I was picking out the ones I didn't need, that I did need. And she's like, $2, you can have the whole box. And it had like 15 or 20 of them in it. I was like, yeah, thanks. Cool. And then some I got from my old boss. You know, where you can get books, you get them. So, and some of these are very hard to come by in the original covers. So it says, live plants, dead people. Dr. Brewer is doing a little plant testing in his basement. Nothing to worry about. Harmless, really. But Margaret and Casey Brewer are worried about their father, especially when they meet some of the plants he is growing down there. Then they notice that their father is developing plant-like tendencies. In fact, he's becoming distinctly weedy and seedy. Is it just part of their father's harmless experiment, or has the basement turned into another little shop of horrors? So, yeah, stay out of the basement. I love the cover though. I like that hand on the door. It's very reminiscent of 80s horror movie covers. So then, the next book is the third one. I think for majority of it, I have them in order. They're all in order, but I think for the most part I have most of them like in chunks, so like 1, 2, 3, 4. I think in the 20s I have like 20 through 26 or something. I have them in chunks. So this one is the very famous, probably the one everyone knows the most, Monster Blood. Taking a thumbnail. I'll screenshot that later. So, this is, like I said, the most famous, probably, that he's ever written. This one, and Night of the Living Dummy, which I don't have, unfortunately. I don't have any of the dummy ones. I want them, because the third one was my favorite as a kid. So much so that I actually bought a Slappy dummy at one point, and it was terrifying, and I ended up returning it. So this says, blood, blood everywhere. While staying with his weird great-aunt Catherine, Evan visits a funky old toy store and buys a dusty can of Monster Blood. It's fun to play with at first, and Evan's dog Trigger likes it so much he eats some. But then Evan notices something weird about the green, slimy stuff. It seems to be growing, and growing, and growing. And all that growing has given the Monster Blood a monstrous appetite. Oh, and I love that. It's a Monster Blood drive. That's so cute. So, oh, this one's an ex-library copy. I'll hide the name because it's where I used to work, but this one's probably one of the better condition ones I have in the original covers. The pages aren't, you know, water damaged. And I've always loved, on the back of them, they did this in the TV show too, it says, "Reader beware, you're in for a scare." And they did that in TV show too, they did "Viewer beware." And it always gave me goosebumps as a kid. It always gave me goosebumps. I love that. Okay. But yeah, it was pretty creepy. Monster Blood. I have like 3 piles here. So the next book I have is the 4th one in the series, which is more of an anthology, I get, or no. I don't know what you'd call it, because they're all different stories except a couple, but they're all part of the same Goosebumps line. Okay, so this is Say Cheese and Die, and I remember loving this on the TV show because Ryan Gosling played in it, and I loved him as a kid. I still love him. I don't remember what I thought about the book. I think I liked it just because of Ryan Gosling. This is a sticker from a library copy, and it says, "Although the cover appears scary, the content is only suspenseful in nature. These books are well written and include details we use in writing." Actually, it must be for a school copy. Yeah. This is one of those I got from just a random yard sale. Yeah. The person has a list, and they circled. That's cute. Every picture tells a story. Greg thinks there is something wrong with the old camera he and his friends found. The photographs keep turning out wrong, very long, like the snapshot Greg took of his father's new car that shows it's totaled, and then Greg's father is in a nasty wreck. But Greg's friends don't believe him. Sherry even makes Greg bring the camera to her birthday party and take her picture. Only Sherry's not in the photograph when it develops. Is Sherry about to be taken out of the picture permanently? Who is going to take the next fall for the evil camera? I love the idea of inanimate objects being murderers. Like killer tomatoes. It's so stupid, but I love it. You know, the Blob. I was just talking to Lucy over on Twitter, and we were discussing washers. So, yeah. But I love the idea. One picture is worth 1,000 screens. Say cheese and die. I'm gonna do that every time. So the next book jumps one more and goes into number 6. I don't have number 5, which is The Curse of the Mummy's Tomb. I don't have that. This one is Let's Get Invisible. And I swear I don't remember this one. I know I've read it, but besides the plot, I don't remember anything. I remember there being a TV show episode with an actress who went on to be big. I don't remember what it was. I think, maybe I'm thinking of it wrong. Anyways, this says, now you see him, now you don't. And also, I really liked that all his books had different character names. He didn't, 62 books and he never reused a character name. So this says, on Max's birthday, he finds a sort of magic mirror in the attic. It can make him become invisible. So Max and his friends start playing Now You See Me, Now You Don't, until Max realizes that he's losing control. Staying invisible a little too long, having a harder and harder time coming back. Getting invisible is turning into a very dangerous game. The next time Max gets invisible, will it be forever? So, it's cute. Let's get invisible. On to the next book, which is number 8. The Girl Who Cried Monster, which is one of my favorites. Mostly because I love the concept of parents being brought into the mix. I may have just spoiled the entire book. Don't listen to me. So it says, Lucy likes to tell monster stories. She's told so many that her friends and her family are sick of it. Then one day, Lucy discovers a real live monster, the librarian in charge of the summer reading program. Too bad Lucy's told so many monster tales. Too bad no one believes a word she says. Too bad the monster knows who she is and is coming after her next. I love the whole spin on The Boy Who Cried Wolf, but it's a menacing turn. Yeah, but I can't really tell you why I love it because I'll end up spoiling it more. But it's one of my favorites, just know that. Also, I love how snarky Lucy is in this book. She's like one of the rare characters who's like the IDGAF, like she just goes off. Yeah. The Girl Who Cried Monster. So then we have book number 9. Welcome to Camp Nightmare. I hated this. This was not one of my favorites. I just didn't like the concept. The TV show, okay, maybe, but I don't know. Maybe it was just because at the time I was so obsessed with Jason, of course, that having a book with a camp setting just wasn't working for me if campers weren't actually being slaughtered. So, it's the Little Camp of Horrors. Spin on Little Shop. The food isn't great. The counselors are a little strange. And the camp director, Uncle Al, seems sort of demented. Okay, so Billy can handle all that. But then his fellow campers start to disappear. What's going on? Why won't his parents answer his letters? What's lurking out there after dark? Camp Nightmoon is turning into Camp Nightmare. For real. And Billy might be next. Dun dun. I own 2 copies of this, by the way. They're both originals, I think. Yeah. So, this one's in better condition, but I keep them both. Because they're Goosebumps. How can you not? So then I have book number 10. This is The Ghost Next Door, which I don't think was ever a TV episode, was it? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I know it was in the movie with Jack Black. There's like a huge rip, so I'm trying to figure out how to read this. I'm gonna do my best. I'll probably skip over a couple words. Hannah's neighbors have gotten a little weird. Ever since that boy moved in next door. But when did he move in? Wasn't the house empty when Hannah went to sleep the night before? Why does it still look so deserted? She's not getting any answers from her new neighbor. He just keeps disappearing in the oddest ways, and he's so pale. Is Hannah being haunted by the ghost next door? I don't really have an opinion on this one. I don't remember it very well. But yeah, I mean, the ghost next door. So then we have one that it feels like a fever dream because I don't remember it at all, and it is Be Careful What You Wish For. I'm gonna have to reread this. I plan on rereading all his books, by the way. All the original Goosebumps. So, the cover looks nice. Samantha Bird is a klutz, an accident waiting to happen. She's the laughingstock of the girls' basketball team. And that mean, rotten Judith Bellwood is making her life miserable on and off the court. But everything's about to change. Sam's met someone who can grant her 3 wishes, for real. Too bad Sam wasn't careful what she wished for, because her wishes are coming true, and they're turning her life into a living nightmare. For some reason this reminds me of the Goosebumps episode from the teen series. If you guys remember, it was on the Hub, and what is the Discovery Family or whatever. What was that series? It was the R.L. Stine teen series, and it's gonna like drive me crazy if I can't remember it. R.L. Stine TV shows. The Haunting Hour. But there was one where this girl made a wish with this woman, and she was at high school. I think Debbie Ryan was in it. It was a weird episode. Yeah. But be careful what you wish for. So then we have number 13. Piano lessons can be murder. This one I somewhat remember. I remember liking it just because I wanted to play piano. So it says, when Jerry finds a dusty old piano in the attic of his new house, his parents offer to pay for lessons. At first, taking piano seems like a cool idea, but there's something creepy about Jerry's piano teacher, Dr. Shriek. Something really creepy. Something Jerry can't quite put his finger on. Then Jerry hears the stories. Terrifying stories. About the students at Dr. Shriek's music school. Students who went in for a lesson and never came out. Oh yeah, I liked it. Play it again, hands. Oh, that's visible hands. So then we have number 14, The Werewolf of Fever Swamp. What big teeth you have. I don't remember this one. Actually, no, I do. Okay. There's something horrible happening in Fever Swamp. Something really horrible. It started with the strange howling at night. Then there was the rabbit torn to shreds. Everyone thinks Grady's new dog is responsible. After all, he looks just like a wolf. And he seems a little on the wild side. But Grady knows his dog is just a regular old dog. And most dogs don't howl at the moon. Or disappear at midnight. Or change into terrifying creatures when the moon is full. Or do they? So, just a classic little werewolf story. Yeah. Also, I have a second copy of this, which I don't remember. I think maybe a book fair, because it has the whole $1.99 special. But so then we have one of my favorite books of the Goosebumps, One Day at HorrorLand. This is number 16. The next ride might be their last. And this one says, enter if you dare. I had such, and I still have it, such an obsession with theme park horrors. I don't know why. So, the Morris family got lost trying to find Zoo Gardens theme park. But that's okay. They found another amusement park instead. It's called HorrorLand. In HorrorLand, there are no crowds, no lines, and the admission is free. It seems like a pretty cool place. But that was before that heart-stopping ride on the deadly Doom slide, and that terrifying experience in the House of Mirrors. Because there's something weird about the rides in HorrorLand. Something a little too creepy. A little too real. So, he actually went on, of course, to write the HorrorLand series of books that I think Slappy has a big part of. But, and there was a DS game that I played constantly. So, nostalgic looking back. And I have a second copy of this, which doesn't have any of the blue on it. The spines are different. I prefer the blue. I think it looks like cotton candy. So, yeah. So this wall is falling. I can feel it sliding. I'm gonna have to pin it better. So then we have number 18, Monster Blood 2. This is the sequel to Monster Blood, and apparently there's a contest inside. So it gives you goosebumps, the inside details. Page is ripped. Anyways, it's back. Evan Ross can't stop thinking about Monster Blood and what happened last summer. It was so horrible, so terrifying. Too bad Evan's science teacher doesn't believe him. Now he's stuck cleaning out the hamster's cage as punishment for making up stories. Then Evan's friend Andy comes to town, and things go from bad to worse. Because Andy's got a present for Evan. It's green and slimy, and it's starting to grow. So the infamous return. I don't feel like any of the sequels of Monster Blood were as well known as the first one. At least not where I grew up at. I mean, kids were obsessed with Goosebumps when I was a kid. This was all we read. So then we have a book that is another one of my favorites because I feel like it's probably one of R.L. Stine's more diverse character books. It features a mentally differentiated person. There's, I think he mentions he has autism or something, or Asperger's. I don't remember. Anyways, it's the Scarecrow walks at midnight. And it's also probably one of the scariest books because there is death mentioned a lot. But people don't actually die in the other books. There is death in this book. So, the Scarecrow walks at midnight. Jody loves visiting her grandparents' farm. Okay, so it's not the most exciting place in the world. Still, Grandpa tells great stories, and Grandma's chocolate chip pancakes are the best. But this summer, the farm has really changed. The cornfields are sparse, Grandma and Grandpa seem worn out, and the single Scarecrow has been replaced by 12 evil-looking ones. Then one night, Jody sees something really odd. The Scarecrows seem to be moving, twitching on their stakes, coming alive. And it was one of my favorites growing up. I don't remember the TV show episode very well, but I remember the book being one of my favorites. I'm probably not going to read the backs of all of these because I have a lot. So, this is Go Eat Worms. I don't know what number this is. Because it doesn't have it on the reboot. 21. So, this one, I don't remember very well. Like, at all. So, homework was never this gross before. It looks gross. It's pretty tore up. There's like a huge chunk there. But I mean, it has crown writing in it. What do you expect from a kid's book? Oh, there's some pages that are bent. Yeah. Go Eat Worms. So, the next one is Return of the Mummy. Ooh. There is a first one of this that I don't have. I think so anyway. Yeah, The Curse of the Mummy's Tomb, number 5. I don't have it. He's back from the dead. I don't remember this one. I know I read them all at one point in elementary school because I printed off a list in my library and I would mark them off as I read them. And I finished them all. It was like this big deal in my class to read them all. Yeah, if you read them all, you got like a prize from the teacher, and it was weird. I'm telling you, my school was obsessed with Goosebumps, man. It was creepy. I remember the teacher actually had this thing where if you read so many books, no matter what they were, each week you got a free book from her collection that she had bought new. And I'd always pick out a Goosebumps book, of course. So, but I don't remember this one. So then we have another one of my favorites because it takes place in theater, and it is Phantom of the Auditorium, which of course is just a rip-off of Phantom of the Opera. He's out to stop the show for good. So I really love this one. It was one of my favorites. There's a piece of cardboard in here. I must have read it recently. I did actually. I read it last year, I think. This one is stained. It has mildew stains on it that I did disinfect and get clean. But yeah, it's like old. And I have a second copy. So. Okay, so then we have a book that I loved as a kid, mostly because I was into superheroes a lot, but I didn't want to get into the whole reading comics thing because it's a daunting task to dive into Marvel Comics. So Attack of the Mutant was the next best thing, and I loved it. He's no superhero, he's a super villain. I remember loving this book. I fell in love with it. I have 2 copies of this because a wonderful viewer here on YouTube sent me a copy in the package that you guys saw, Greg. So, and I have 2 copies. This one's pretty beat up, so I'm glad to have a newer copy. I just noticed the Goosebumps books have 3D fillings. Why did I not realize that? It's like little Goosebumps. So yeah. This is number 25, by the way. So then we have, this has tape on it. Okay, didn't rip it. The Cuckoo Clock of Doom. This is one that I loved as a kid because it was very futuristic. Look at me trying to multitask. But I loved it. It has time travel. It has making wishes. It has old antiques that are haunted. It has everything you could want in that kind of aspect. So. So then we have Monster Blood 3. I think I own all of Monster Blood. No, I don't own the 4th one. I own the first 3. Evan's growing up way too fast, so Evan's back. This one I think was the one. Okay, yeah, this is the cousin. So Evan, of course, is like huge in this one. First we had the dog, then we had a hamster, and now we have Evan. So, I don't remember this one too well. I wasn't really a big fan of the Monster Bloods, even though they were like huge. I wasn't that big a fan. I was more into the like actual scary stuff. This was just like sci-fi-ish to me. So the next book is number 30, and and it came from beneath the sink. So this one is one that I really loved the TV show of. Didn't really care for the book, even though it's pretty much like the same thing both ways, but I feel like it was portrayed better in the TV show. But this is the one with the little sponge creature thing under the sink. It's warm, it's breathing, and it doesn't do dishes. So, yeah. It came from beneath the sink. Oh my god, what is this? I'm terrified. What gives you goosebumps this month's winner? Oh, okay, so crickets, give her, scares her, okay. Kelly syringe, age 7. I can't say crickets scared me when I was 7, I think clowns mostly did. Okay guys, so my leg is falling asleep, and it hurts, and I'm getting hot, and I don't have much memory on this camera left, so we're gonna try to wrap this up kind of swiftly with the rest of the books. We have Revenge of the Lawn Gnomes, which is number 34. I have 2 copies of this, and I don't remember liking it at all. Like, it was just really creepy to me. Like, not in a good way, though. I mean, look at those faces. Those are the most disturbing faces I've ever seen. Like monkeys or something. I don't know. I didn't care for them. Will it focus on me? Focus on me. Maybe. There we go. So then we have number 36, The Haunted Mask 2. I loved the first one. It's like way up, probably my number 1 favorite. No, Night of Living Dummy 3 still is my favorite. But I love this one too. So, this one is, I think a classmate of a girl from the first one is how it went. Yeah. What is that in the back? Ooh, okay. Library card. Oh, and it has the little thing in it. No one ever checked it out. That's sad. Haunted Mask 2. So then we have kind of an obscure one that I don't think a lot of people realize even existed. It is the Abominable Snowman of Pasadena. Forget Frosty is what it says in the back. They did make fun of this in the movie, I think. Well, not make fun of it, but they mentioned it. Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong. This is when the movie, the TV show was coming out. 1995. Goosebumps on Fox TV this fall. Friday at 4:30 p.m. Talk about early. Well, kids went to bed earlier then, so. And maybe I'm like too young, but wasn't it some stations did like the anthem at the end of the night and then it went silent for the rest of the night? Maybe I'm thinking that up. Or maybe that's like not the 90s and it was earlier than that. I think that happened though at some point. Listen, I was born in 99. I don't know. So then I have 2 copies of How I Got My Shrunken Head. And this one I kind of liked as a kid. I liked the whole voodoo concept. But yeah, it was okay. Well, my favorite book comes after this one. Dummy 3. This is number 39, by the way. I don't have number 40. Heads up. This is Reading is Fundamental. Okay, RuPaul. Paris is Burning. I only have a few more, like a handful, so I'm grabbing them up. So we have Bad Hair Day, which I didn't particularly love as a kid, but I liked it. I reread it enough times, I remember that. Because the Magicians. There was one, maybe I already came to it, maybe I don't own it, but the boy whose dog, they turned into dogs. Yeah. But this one's the Magician one. It says, he's no Easter Bunny. That's so stupid. It's creepy. I don't even think a bunny had anything to do with it. Like, at all. My books are leaning. This one seems like a fever dream. Maybe I never even read it. I don't remember. Pretty sure I did, though. Because I know I read them all, but maybe I just didn't. Egg Monsters from Mars. This is, just, I have no idea. An egg hunt at a birthday party. Okay, it's not Easter, but I'll have to reread this one because I don't remember it, like, at all. Oh my god, I love this. The Goosebumps postcard book. I remember that. Wow. So then we have number 43, The Beast from the East. Boo, dude. Sorry. Goosebumps is on TV. Boo, dude. Nat and Pat are identical brothers. Okay. This one is about lost kids in the woods, so that's different from what he used to do. Yeah. The Beast from the East. So then we have 𝐬𝐵𝐸𝐸𝐸 again, number 44, and I'm pretty sure this is continuation of Greg. Maybe it's like a newer character. I think it's Greg though. Yeah, it's Greg. Think Negative, Rio Negative, and I did another one of this for the HorrorLand books. So I just love the creepy skeletons with the bulbing eyes. It's so weird and creepy. I love these books though. I mean, even as an adult, you can read them. They're fun, they're easy. I can probably get through one of these in a couple hours, if that. They're very short, they're very sweet. Happy endings, you know, so. So then we have Ghost Camp, which I don't know the number of, but now my camera is dying, so I have to be quick. Number 45. This one I don't remember at all. So I don't remember a lot of the old, like the newer ones. Maybe I stopped reading them when I got to a certain list. I don't know. Okay. So then we have Beware the Snowman, which I do remember. I remember not liking it. I had watched Jack Frost around the same time of reading it, that creepy movie that had no point of being made, and I just didn't like it. Goosebump book I own is number 60, Werewolf Skin. All dressed up and no place to hide. So this is... But a boy and a photographer goes in the woods. Sounds creepy. I don't remember it. Oh my god, the Goosebumps fan club. Do you remember? Because I sure don't. I remember, like, little items you could buy later on. Okay, triple header. So that is all the Goosebumps books. I do have a couple of his random ones here. I have his standalone, It's the First Day of School Forever, which is kind of newer, I think, like late 2000s. Ghosts of Fear Street, Nightmare in 3D. Kind of creepy. And then lastly, Still More Tales to Give You Goosebumps, Special Edition number 4, 10 Spooky Stories. There's a Jesus bookmark. I think when you're reading this book, you do need Jesus. Just kidding. Dear reader, if you ever draw in this book, you will pay the full price of $4.95. Well, the book wasn't $4.95. Whoever wrote that. It was $3.95. So. But that is all of R.L. Stine's books I own. I don't know how many that is. I don't own nearly all of them. And I really only want to own the original Goosebumps because that's what I grew up on and that's what I loved reading as a kid. So, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'm sorry that it got kind of chaotic at the end. Yeah, I'm gonna try to find a better setup because I'm always like my legs are falling asleep constantly, sitting on the floor in like the position for 2 hours because, you know, filming. Thank you for watching, and until next time, remember you're beautiful, you're wonderful, and you're loved. Bye.